Welcome to episode 135 of the Scarlet Faithful podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Breitman, coming to you on Monday, August 14th. The dog days of summer are here. The fall is rapidly approaching. Today, I wanted to focus on what I think is the most exciting topic in Rutgers athletics right now, which is men's basketball recruiting 2024 and now 2025 trending way up in terms of the ceiling for Rutgers men's basketball. We know about 2024. We're all on Dylan Harper watch. Obviously, signs are very positive there for a multitude of reasons. The way Duke has kind of changed up their recruiting in recent weeks, the momentum that Rutgers has built just in terms of how they have targeted Dylan Harper on the recruiting trail, Dylan Harper's relationship with Ace Bailey. They were very chummy and having just a great time at the Elite 24 game on Saturday. If you saw on ESPNU, it got cut short because of weather. But they just look, genuine in terms of their camaraderie and relationship. And they look like two elite players that want to play together in college. I didn't buy into the hype that he was going to announce this past weekend. I could be absolutely wrong, but I just think that if he does actually commit to Rutgers, I can't see him doing it with Rutgers overseas, where they come back on Saturday, the 19th. Remains to be seen, but I think certainly indicators out there that he's going to make a decision or announce a decision sooner rather than later. And we'll see. But Rutgers is on the cusp of a historic recruiting haul in 2024. Cooper Flagg reclassified on Friday, the class of 24, so he now is technically the number one recruit. Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey are 2 and 3. No big whoop there. Longtime Rutgers fans and short-time Rutgers fans should be tickled to death about the possibility and the close nearing reality that Rutgers will land 2 of the top 3 recruits in the 24 class, not to mention 4-star big man Lathan Somerville, 4-star wing Bryce Dortch. They have pursued 5-star big man Ozzie Newell, who has also he's being targeted by a lot of big-time programs. He's got visits scheduled. I don't know if he's going to make it to Rutgers. He played on the Team USA with Dylan Harper. He's considered a Georgia lean. He's got schedules to Texas, among others. They did just make a little bit of a surprising offer to 3-star forward Dylan Grant last week, who is another versatile, athletic guy. He is just another example of Rutgers not being complacent. They are continuing to grind in the 2024 class. And with the nature of college basketball nowadays, with the transfer portal, you just don't know how many spots you're actually going to have open next year. And I just have loved the work ethic, the strategy, and the grind of the Rutgers men's basketball coaching staff on the recruiting trail. And it leads to my bigger point today, which is the 2025 class, because obviously we want Rutgers to hit it big with the 24 class. That has to lead to results in 24-25. But on the recruiting trail, we don't want 2024 to be an outlier, right? It's got to be Steve Pikiell's worked too hard. This program has come too far to let 2024 be a one-off. And not that things would necessarily go backwards, but then it kind of is not an elite or near elite haul moving forward. You can't expect landing the top 2 of the top 3 recruits every year. That's not what I mean. But just looking at who Rutgers is involved in the 25 class, there is serious momentum there, and they are targeting legit talent. They just it just came out on Sunday night. Joe Tipton on 3 Sports confirming that Trey McKenney, 5-star guard out of Michigan, number 10 recruit in the 2025 class 24/7 Sports composite rankings, confirmed that he's visiting Rutgers on October 13th. It's actually homecoming weekend. That is absolutely huge news. Just in terms of his impact, he also has, let's see, he's recently visited Michigan State unofficially. He's got official trips booked from Missouri, Ole Miss, Georgetown. He is a dynamic scorer. He is versatile. He can defend. He's athletic. He's super strong. He's low to the ground. He is, but he's so skilled. And this is in addition to Rutgers targeting now in the class Darius Adams, who was considered the top recruit in New Jersey. He's since transferred to a powerhouse prep school in Indiana, top 25 recruit. Rutgers has been on him for years at this point. His sister Destiny plays for Rutgers women's basketball, former McDonald's All-American, transferred to from North Carolina in the offseason. Malik Thomas, the top shooting guard in the 25 class, Rutgers is in on and offered early. Darius Acuff, who's had a tremendous summer. Teammates of McKenney at the Family, which, by the way, is the AAU program that Rutgers assistant Marlon Williamson used to coach and run as director. They have offers out to both of them. Now they're scheduling a visit with McKenney. Acuff might even be harder at this point, but I mean, McKenney's got 36 offers. He was a powerhouse player his sophomore year in high school, has taken off. He was fifth in scoring in the Nike EYBL circuit this spring, playing a year up. He's an under 16. He was playing for the under 17s, the Peach Jam. He played well, playing a year up. This guy's legit. Brandon Storrs, a 4-star wing, they're in on. Nigel James, an up-and-coming 3-star guard out of New England. He's already visited. What I think is so fascinating is that what we had hoped for is actually happening, which is we saw the type of player and the type of culture that Steve Pikiell was building in the early years. He was getting players to buy into his system, to buy into his culture, playing a certain way, defensive rebounding, hard-nosed, tough players that keep grinding. He's continuing to recruit those types of players, but he's adding the component of much more talented and skilled players with that same mentality. And that is just, I mean, that's huge. That to me is such an eye opener. The versatility, right? He's looking at guys that they're more athletic than players he used to get. They're much more skilled offensively. They can score in multiple ways. They can create shots for themselves and their teammates. They can defend multiple positions. They thrive in transition. And a lot of these guys, if you watch film of all the 25 guys, I mean, they all have a common thread of they're under control. They dictate offense. And they're really, really tough. And they're really athletic. And Rutgers in on all these guys. Obviously, listen, they're not going to get all of them. They're not going to get close to all of them. But that's the thing with college basketball recruiting. If you get two of those guys, two top 100 guys, you're going to be in a top 25 class year after year after year for the most part, and you're going to keep having high-end talent on your roster. Obviously, Bailey and Harper, if Harper does commit, they're probably one-and-done players, right? But that's the other importance of continuing to build momentum, but also on the back end, fill the class with other talented guys that are multi-year guys. And that's why I love Somerville and Dortch. Those are 4-star guys that are, they're not one-and-done guys. They're going to be at Rutgers hopefully 3 or 4 years, and they're the foundation. But Harper and Bailey are certainly drawing attention to the 25 class that Rutgers is for real. Obviously, the progress Rutgers has made winning in recent years. Yes, I know they struggled down the stretch last year, didn't make the tournament, but the way fans evaluate a program and the way outsiders evaluate the program, the way recruits evaluate a program, it's all different. It's all different. And the narrative with Rutgers outside of fans is that this thing is still on the rise. And just because they had a tough finish last season doesn't mean that much in the grand scheme of things. When you see what Pikiell has done in terms of development, in terms of, Ron Harper and Caleb McConnell getting runs in the NBA and fighting for roster spots, seeing a guy like Cliff develop, I mean, basketball analysts have seen what's happened with Moat Mag before the injury, how he's gotten better. So all these things matter. It's not just wins and losses. Obviously, with fan bases, rightfully so, it's fair to get upset and disappointed when seasons don't end the way we want them to end. But all signs are still super positive about this program. Marlon Williamson showing real signs on the recruiting trail. Now, of course, they need to close on some of his targets, but he is really making some noise with some big-time players in the classes of 24 and 25. Azanul is a guy that he is heading the recruitment of. Then, obviously, 25, I mentioned Acuff and McKenney. He is getting Rutgers in the mix with some serious names. We've seen the success that Brandon Knight and TJ Thompson have had on the recruiting trail. If Williamson can get in the mix and start landing guys of equal talent that those two guys have had brought to the table, it's going to be a tremendous thing. And the really funny thing is just to see other fan bases start to react now. Duke and Indiana fans starting to get nervous about the news about Dylan Harper. All the national analysts are projecting Harper to Rutgers. And you're seeing just crazy, you would think at this point that Dylan Harper's being held hostage and that his family will force him to go to Rutgers if he decides Rutgers. That's the excuses that fan bases are giving out. There's even, they're tweeting memes of like, what's going on? Why is Rutgers now in the mix for guys in 25? Like they, if anything, they thought maybe Dylan Harper was a one-off because of his brother, because of Jersey. But when Rutgers is in the mix for national recruits, national elite recruits, and they've been in the mix for 4 and 5 star guys before, but this just feels different. This is they're at a different they're in a different room in terms of recruiting right now, in terms of all the different prospects they're talking to. Of course, Steve Pikiell is going to mix in, some developmental guys, but those developmental guys, like everything's gone up. Right? Like the developmental guy in 25 is like Nigel James, who could end up being a 4-star player. The developmental guy in 24, is that Bryce Dortch? I don't know. But I mean, he has specific skill sets that are going to help, in terms of his ability to be a two-way player, defend multiple positions, attack the rim. He's a good rebounder for his size. He plays really hard. I mean, the ceiling has risen in terms of the level of recruit that Rutgers is considering, that's in the mix for, that's targeting. And that's when the talent level on the roster goes up. That's when the depth goes up. And we're seeing that progression. And maybe it's been a slow but steady race, but all of a sudden now we're seeing serious signs that things are changing. I don't want to say for good, but you're seeing a real shift now with 25 on top of 24 on how Rutgers is being in the mix for so many top recruits, but also just how they're being looked at. We've seen some of the national analysts, be kind of shocked by Rutgers, and they seem less shocked now. And if Harper does in fact go to Rutgers, Bailey goes to Rutgers, no one seems to surprise some of these players that they're talking to now in 25. So this is all really positive. Obviously, there's a long way to go. November is the early signing period for 24. We know NIL is a factor in all of this. It's very unclear how much of a factor it is. I do want to say I think Knight Society and Knights of the Raritan, it's not a lot that they can say just in terms of NIL, but I think that they're both making a difference. And who knows what else is out there that's making a difference. But the bottom line is Rutgers is in serious contention to land a top 3, top 4 recruiting class in 24 and 25. Long way to go. But to get a visit confirmed from Trey McKenney, number 10 recruit, on the books 2 months out, when he could pretty much go anywhere, that means something. And there's serious momentum to be had. So thank you for listening and watching to this podcast. Once again, I'll have plenty more the rest of this week, and I will talk to you tomorrow.